Hi, this is Mr. West, and today we're doing a worksheet tutorial video on order of operations. This is from mathdrills.com. Make sure to check out Math Drills in the link below to see awesome math resources that they have. So what we're doing here is we're doing order of operations, and here you see listed PEMDAS. These are the order of operations. Of course, we have parentheses first, and just to let you know, I'm going to kind of breeze through this because I have a lot of videos on this exact topic, and you can look it up in my search bar on my main YouTube page. But regardless, I'm going to give you a quick refresher. Parentheses are first, then we do exponents, multiplication, division. You'll see that I did this together because you're going to do it in the order they appear. If division's first, you're going to do division. And then addition and subtraction, same thing. We're going to go left to right with both of these operations, depending on which we see first. Either subtraction first, if that's first left to right, or addition first, if that's left to right. They have equal rank in terms of order of operations. Now, in terms of parentheses, we see that that's listed first. You're going to see we only have two sets of true parentheses here. We have this one right here is a true set of parentheses, and then this one down here, okay? The other ones are not really parentheses. And let me explain. So, for example, this one right here that I'm highlighting in green, that's -9. The reason why it's written in parentheses is to separate it from this minus sign and that multiplication sign right there. It's sometimes if you have a minus sign, let me show you, like times, and then if you have it like this, it looks weird having those two operations next to each other. So that's why parentheses are used often with negative numbers, just to separate it. But really, the only ones that we're doing like an operation with, that we do order of operations, the P parentheses, are when we have an actual operation taking place. So see here that we have an operation, subtraction, 7 minus 8, two numbers with an operation in between, and then same thing here, we have 9 plus a -8. Those are true like parentheses first problems. So let's go ahead and start with the top right one. I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to start with that one first, just because it's the only one. These are the only two that have true parentheses in them. Okay, so like I said, we're going to start with parentheses. So this is my first step. I need to resolve what's happening here. Now, there's a lot of components to this, so if you need a refresher, check back on integer operations, addition and subtraction of positive and negative numbers. But we have a 9 plus a -8. That's essentially the same thing as 9 minus 8. 9 plus a -8 is the same thing as 9 minus 8. So we're just going to get a 1 in there. Now, what happens with the parentheses is we're going to keep them because we still have some operations on the outside that we need to apply whatever's left over in the parentheses. So I'm going to rewrite everything else. The only thing I did is I resolved inside these parentheses. I did my parentheses first, and now I'm going to proceed through my order of operations with everything else. So parentheses done. Now I have exponents. I do have exponents. Okay, so the exponents I'm going to apply next. I have 1 squared. That's the same thing as 1 times 1. Okay, a lot of people mess that up and they do multiplication instead. Okay, so we have 1 times 1, and we know, actually I'm going to do that operation on the outside. Anytime I have like work, I like doing it on the outside, so inside this like funnel is organized. So 1 times 1 is just 1, and then I still have this times 3 right there. So I have times 3. And then I just resolve this last step. So this last step I'm going to resolve, and I get 3 for my final answer, and I'm done. So I did my exponents. I finished with my multiplication. There was no addition, subtraction beyond the parentheses. So obviously within the parentheses, I had addition and subtraction. Anytime you have parentheses, you're going to basically follow the order of operations. If there's parentheses within the parentheses, you start there. Otherwise, you go on to exponents in the parentheses, then multiplication and division in the parentheses, addition and subtraction in the parentheses, okay? Let's move on to the other set of parentheses that we had, true parentheses. So we're going to start with those parentheses. And inside the parentheses, we see subtraction. So we're going to do 7 minus 8. That equals -1. Okay, so now we're done with our parentheses, and I'm going to rewrite everything else around it. So I have times 2 to the second power. Now I got to be careful here. I have nothing left in the parentheses. Now I move on to exponents, and then my next exponent is going to be right there. So that means I'm going to do 2 to the second power, 2 times 2. That gives me 4, and I still need to do that times -1. Trying to stay consistent with my colors here. It's not working. So then I have -1 times 4, and that gives me -4. Okay, so a couple quick things about adding, subtracting integers. You're going to do same sign, add different signs subtract. So we had different signs here, so we subtracted basically 8 minus 7, and we kept the sign of the bigger number, negative. With multiplying numbers here, if we have same sign with multiplication, it becomes a positive. And if it's a different sign with multiplication, it's going to be a negative. Okay, so this is just a quick review. Again, oops, that's supposed to be positive, in case you just need a refresher. Let's do a few more. I'm going to look for one that have like a third power. Looks like the only one is down here. That's okay. So I'm going to start off with exponents because there's no parentheses. You're like, you're a liar. There's 2 parentheses here. But that's only to designate that it's negative numbers. So we're going to start off with this parentheses, and we have 2 to the third power. That's the same thing as 2 times 2 times 2. And that is going to be 8. Okay, so inside my funnel here I have 8, and I'm going to rewrite everything else. Negative 4. I'm going to write the multiplication like that. Okay, so now I have multiplication and addition left, so I'm going to do the multiplication first. I have a negative times a negative. That gives me a positive. Okay, so it's a positive 28. And then I add 8, so my final answer is going to be 36, and that's my answer there. Let's do one more, and then let's call it good. I'm going to look for one that, there we go. Here's one that looks seemingly difficult, but it's really not that bad. Right here. So I have a lot going on here. Again, I don't have any parentheses other than designating that it's a negative, and a negative. So I really can't do anything because there's no 2 numbers having an operation take place together. So I'm going to move on to exponents. Here's my exponent. I got to be careful here because there's a bunch of negatives. This just means I have a negative 5 times negative 5. Negative 5 squared means I'm multiplying the negative 5 times itself. Negative times negative equals a positive, and it's going to be 25. Now, I have to copy down everything else around it. So this is where you got to be careful. I have negative 8 times negative 6, and you'll see I didn't write the parentheses there just to simplify it, minus the 25. That minus still needs to stay there. I know that a negative 5 squared equals a positive 25, but I still had this minus sign that was there present before we did that exponent. Okay, this right here, okay, did not get applied to the exponent. Only the number inside the parentheses got applied to the exponent. So now we have multiplication that we have to do next. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have negative 8 times negative 6, and that gives me negative times negative, positive 48, and then I need to minus that 25. So now we have 48 minus 25, and that should give me, what, 23? And that's my final answer. So that's all there is to it. If you have any questions on this question set, please leave a comment and I can help you with it. Otherwise, make sure to check out some of my other videos on integers and integer operations and order of operations. And I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Wes Explains Best.